Well, good morning. Welcome to another new Bible study. So glad that you are with us today. Today we are in day one of this study, PartyOn, which is a look into the feasts, the fasts, the festivals, fellowships, all of the fun places in the Bible, all of them involving some sort of partying, all of them involving some sort of food. I was just simply in awe of all of the places in the Bible that talk about having fun, that talk about food and feasting and sitting down shoulder to shoulder with other people. And I'm not sure that I have ever seen or experienced a Bible study or a series of messages or lessons on this topic. And so I thought to myself, can I find enough to put into an entire Bible study? And I found more than just enough to put into a Bible study. I found enough to put into an entire one with a whole bunch left over. And if you would like to get a copy of this, you can go to christtable.today. I'm giving these free to anybody who's a donor at Christ Table. And if you don't have the ability to donate, just let me know and I will get you one of these for free. And we are excited to have you along for this adventure. Thanks for taking time. I hope that you'll set time aside each and every day. If you're not able to participate each and every day, that is absolutely okay. Don't get discouraged if you miss a few days. Just jump right back in where you are. Every day is self-contained, and so you don't need to worry about missing a few days. Just jump back on the horse and ride it again. If you're not able to do the reading or work in the book or watch online each and every day, which will be here somewhere around 8:30 Eastern every day, that's okay as well. Just do the amount of work that you are able to do, and these are brought to you each and every day as a courtesy of all of the donors and the people who are a part of christtable.today. And if you want to know more about that ministry, would just encourage you to go on that website. In fact, I'll put it right back up there. Go on that website and check us out, because we're doing something new, something different, something that is way out of the ordinary. And I think, especially if you're someone who is disillusioned with church or discouraged with church people, I think you're going to find community there and you're going to find a home. Now, we're very early in this journey with Christ Table. So the best thing that you can do to be a part of what's going on is to simply sign up for the email list there. And we will keep you updated as we get through summer and into fall about all of the things that are happening. And we will be glad to have you along for the journey. But why don't we go ahead and jump into the book of Ecclesiastes today? Now, each and every day, we're looking for the opportunity to see a party or a feast or food. And so that's specifically what we're going to be looking for in our passages. And the book of Ecclesiastes, if you are disappointed or disillusioned with the church, with church people, with God, or with faith, Ecclesiastes is actually a really great place to go, because you're going to find a lot of resonance there. It's an easy read. In fact, portions of Ecclesiastes you're going to find in modern music. You're going to find portions of Ecclesiastes in music from the 70s and 80s. You're going to find it in poetry and Shakespeare, because it simply resonates with what life is really like. Boots on the ground, not just the spiritual life. In fact, you would read this and you might even think, I'm not even sure this was written by somebody who believed in God or was a follower of God or even liked God. And for that reason, Ecclesiastes is a pretty incredible book, because you read it and you're like, this is truth. This matches up with my experience. Whoever this guy is, he gets me. And truth be told, this guy who's writing this is the wisest person whom ever lived. He calls himself the teacher, and he also is a strong follower of God. And so it shouldn't be discouraging to you that somebody who, like the writer of this, has a deep faith and belief in God and his control over the world also looks at that world and says, wow, it's pretty messed up. And I know that a lot of people who are followers of God say that everything's okay and just believe, and blessings will come to you, and you just don't have enough faith if things aren't going your way. And the wisest person in the world looks at that and says, yeah, that's a bunch of bunk. That's not really the way that the world works. So why don't we look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 13, to see some perspective on how he believes that the world actually works. Verse 1, for everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. For many of us, you actually are now singing that line, right? Because you've heard it set to song. A time to be born and a time to die. It starts off a little depressing, right? For everything there's a season, but you're going to find you don't probably want to read the book of Ecclesiastes whenever you are depressed, honestly. So for everything there's a time to be born and a time to die. There's a time to plant and a time to harvest. In Indiana, there's a time to plant and a time to harvest, and you did not miss those times if you wanted the crop. There's a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up. Maybe you feel like you've been torn down more than you've been built up. You're always building others up, but others are always tearing you down. Maybe you wish those seasons would change, right? Maybe you wish many of these seasons would change, like a time to cry and a time to laugh. Maybe part of the reason why you're in this study is you're looking for a time to laugh. The idea of celebration, partying, is one that is attractive to you because you feel as though you've spent too much time recently crying in sadness. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and to hug, or a time to turn away from others. A time to hold on to what you got and a time to really just let go. There's a time to search and a time to quit searching. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be quiet and a time to speak. A time to love, and there is a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. And now, having gone through all of these seasons, the teacher asks this question: but what do people really get for all of their hard work? We talk a lot in the United States about this American work ethic, and most of us will be measured for most of our lives by our work ethic. Are we a hard worker? Are we a smart worker? Are we a multitasker or not? Are we educated? Are we trained for the job in which we're able to do? But the real question that the teacher asks isn't so much, are you any of those things, but what are you going to get for doing it? What's going to be the outcome of all of that time and energy that you spent on doing or producing something? He steps back from that question and then says, I've seen the burden. Burden isn't a good thing necessarily. I've seen the burden that God has placed on us all. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. You may be putting all of your time and energy into work, hard work, into producing something for other people just so that you can live. But there are maybe some other things, some other seasons, some other opportunities that are beautiful as well. If you get laser focused on any of these seasons and how many seasons were listed out there, I don't know, a dozen or so seasons, maybe close to a couple of dozen seasons in life. But many of us, we looked through that list of seasons, of opportunities in life that was at the very beginning of this chapter, and we could probably say that maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 of those we spend nearly 100% of our time and energy attacking. Maybe we are people who are hard workers, who experience a lot of sadness and grief, and we're lovers. And so 3 or 4 of those is where we spend most of our time. Maybe for others, it was something else. Maybe we spend our time hating. Maybe we spend our time dismantling stones rather than gathering stones. Maybe we spend our time tearing things down rather than mending, and that's where we spend our time. But the teacher says that really God has made all of these things beautiful for its own time, which implies that perhaps there is beauty in us spreading our energy around across these things. And I love this verse, verse 11. He, meaning God, has placed eternity in the human heart. God has put something inside of us from eternity, the divine, which is that longing inside of you, which is that questioning inside of you. It is that thing that has driven you, not the person who gave you the Bible study book, but it is that thing inside of you that has driven you to even be listening in this very moment. There is something inside of you and I that says there is more. There has to be something greater beyond this world that I see and that I experience. This can't be all that there is for me, and this can't be all that there is to me. But even so, the teacher says, people can't see the whole scope of God's work from the beginning to the end. You can't know it all. You can't see it all. You may have a sense that there is something more, and you may be able to get closer and closer to whatever that truth is. But if you're hoping at the end of the day to see the entire scope of God's work and what he's doing and understand why bad things happen to good people, the wisest person who ever walked the earth has said, you're not going to be able to see it. Why? Because he couldn't either. And so we're all in the same boat there. So the teacher says, I concluded there's nothing better on earth, there's nothing better here than to be happy and to enjoy yourself for as long as we can. To which I read that verse and I thought, wow, they never preached that verse when I was growing up in church. They always preached the ones about hellfire and brimstone. I don't know where this was hiding in there. Maybe the version of the Bible that they were using, they had, taken a Sharpie to and just kind of blackened that one out. Because if I would have heard this, there's nothing better than to be happy and to enjoy ourselves for as long as we can. That is a God that I can begin to believe in. It's a God that I can show up for on Sunday morning. A God who tells me to be happy and to enjoy myself for as long as I can. And even yet today, the community of followers of Jesus Christ, I'll include myself in that, seem to spend more of our time telling people to stop enjoying themselves and to stop being happy than we do telling people, you know what? Enjoy this life that God has given you. Enjoy it for as long as you can. Find ways to be happy. And why is that? In fact, maybe in the comments today, you can just give me some clues, some indication on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or wherever you're watching from this morning. Why is it that followers of God are such joy killers, and why we have such a fear of people being happy and enjoying themselves? It's right here. And it's not right here. It's actually, we're going to find all throughout the Bible. We've missed it. Followers of God have missed it. And this is why so few people want to be a part of a life with God anymore. It's why so many people are running like rats out of a burning building from a church. Because we've taken a holier than thou, a holier than you approach. And we've said the only way that God is going to love you and the only way that you can come to God is if you let go of all of the good things in life and you conform to our idea of what a God-filled life is. Let go of all of the good things. Let go of all of the great things. Be miserable. Take all of those things that we define as sin. Stop doing those things And then when you're finally and fully miserable, then you'll be following God and be happy. Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm over time. So let's three things actually that I want to point out in here, and then I'm going to let you go and you can point out all of the other things in here in the comments. The first thing is, clearly from this passage, we see that life is made up of seasons and opportunities. Seasons come around again, but opportunities may not. And this is something that we're going to see throughout the entire Bible study, is that seasons are going to come and go. And the primary portion of our passage, that wasn't intended to rhyme. The primary portion of our passage today centered on seasons. And seasons come and go. There is a time, it says. There's a time to do this and there's a time to do that. And you need to, in moments, do both, not just one or the other. There's a time for all of these seasons, but opportunities are different. Opportunities may not always come and go. And I think one of the most powerful, there's another P word, one of the most powerful things that we can do in life is begin to understand the difference between what is a season, what is something that is only going to be here for a certain amount of time, but it'll roll around again. Enjoy summer. But if you don't enjoy summer, summer's going to roll around again. Opportunities, though, opportunities are different. Opportunities may not come around again. You have an opportunity here. An opportunity to do something about that eternity that God has placed in your heart. You have an opportunity here to enjoy life. You can go through every season and every stage and not enjoy it. The opportunity here is that last verse, is to enjoy life, is to, what does the verse say, is to be happy, is to enjoy. Second, God has given you and I a context of rhythm and reliability and crisis and change. I truly believe that we are not whipped around in this world on some arbitrary life that is spinning out of control. I believe in God's, this is a big word, feel free to look it up, providence. And I do believe, here's another big word, that God superintends. That you are not completely on your own, that I am not completely on my own. And that part of those rhythms of seasons and the opportunities that come, that rhythm, that reliability, the coming even of crisis and change, is a gift from God. Now, I don't always feel like crisis and change is a gift from God, but in retrospect, in hindsight, oftentimes it is. Maybe you're experiencing one of those right now. God is still involved in your life. And finally, having confined us to a prison of time and circumstance, there's a strong statement. The teacher opens a door to freedom in the present. And so he said, you're kind of confined to these seasons and these rhythms, these reliable routines that God has placed us in this life. And now that you admit that you're kind of confined to this, enjoy. Enjoy the life that has been given to you. Enjoy the opportunities that have been given to you. Food and drink and all the varied activities of life are God's good gifts. Just had a discussion the other day with my kids about drinking and about alcohol. And I was raised that God didn't approve of that. His first miracle was creating tons of wine. Enjoy food. Enjoy drink. Don't feel guilt for doing it. Enjoy all of the varied activities of this life. Take the world by its arm and lead it around. Enjoy this. not despite God, but because of God, because he has given it to you, and he has said, eat, drink, and be merry. That's in another part of this book of Ecclesiastes. It's my gift to you. It's my gift to you for all that crisis and change. It's my gift to you for this life which you must face, which is not always wonderful. It's my gift. Well, if you've not already done so, please go to christtable.today at some point and sign up for our email list. And I'll look forward to being back here with you tomorrow. It's been good for you and for me, I hope. I hope it's been good for you. I mean, it has been good for me to be here with you today. Thanks for taking the time to do it. Until tomorrow, when I hope you'll join us again. Happy reading.